Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We're back. It is Thursday. Hopefully, you are having a great week. I am having one of those weeks where I feel like I could be more productive, and then I realize how much I've already done. I think sometimes we have to give ourselves grace, right? You have to understand that you're not always going to be able to get every single thing that you would have liked to have done completed in that time frame. Sometimes we just have to know that we're human, right? Sometimes it just pays for us to sit back and go, you're a human being, you're not a machine. You can't always do everything that you want to do just because you want to do it in the time frame that you want to do it. Sometimes you're just going to get clipped. Something's going to go wrong. Something's not going to be right. Whatever the thing is that gets in the way of your completion in that moment, allow yourself a little grace. Allow yourself a little wiggle room to say, you know what? I didn't get it done when I wanted to get it done, but that doesn't mean that I won't get it done. I won't complete it. It just means that it may take me a little bit more time. Make sure that you're checking out all the content that I'm dropping. The Giants Country, my good, great, and ugly on Saquon Barkley came out yesterday. Make sure you check that out on Giants Country. My good, great, and ugly on Carter Coughlin. Giants Country should be coming out here today, tomorrow. I'll keep you posted on that. Make sure that you check out both of the columns the column that came out in The Athletic about my top fantasy football people, which includes how I decipher whether or not they are top level. Check that out. Also check out the mailbag that I did on The Athletic as well. That was myself and Brandon Marianne Lee, who we kind of tag teamed that mailbag, and she does a fantastic job. If you are looking to get a leg up in your fantasy, you definitely want to check out her work at The Athletic. Lots of things going on. Also, obviously, a giant issue, which came out on Mondays at 6. Make sure you check that out on the YouTube channel. That's the only place you can catch that thing. And I have a brand new Gene Therapy dropping, Talking Boxing with my man Malik from Blitz Magazine. Make sure you check that out on CWN Sports. So lots of things going on in the world of Coach Clemens, on top of just the normal day-to-day things. But the one thing I was thinking about was the NBA, and more specifically, the two things that I believe dominate this cycle right now, which is trade rumors and the draft. The NBA used to be one of those leagues where there were a bunch of what I would say can't miss type of situations, type of players, and I think that came down to the fact that when you went into the draft, people were drafting guys who were productive, right? Simple and plain. Hey, this guy is a ball player at this level, so we believe they're going to be a ball player at the next level. You didn't see a whole lot of reaches, and every time you saw a reach or someone taken for development, it raised your antennas. And now in the NBA, when it comes to the draft, it's the opposite. When you see somebody who's just been productive, you go, oh, well, that's interesting. because every single person that they're taking nowadays, every single person seems to be someone who's a project. And this is the fundamental flaw of the NBA's model, right? Because if you were going to take these projects and then put them down in the G League so that the G League had some type of star appeal to it, so you help build up your G League, but then you are also giving that talent the opportunity to get quality minutes and growth without sacrificing a roster spot to a guy who's only going to give you, 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes out of a game, then that makes sense, right? But that's not what happens. They draft these guys, then they put them on the rosters. Some of them get heavy minutes because the team is bad. And so they come in and they take bad shots and they don't really learn how to play the game the way in which it needs to be played at a winning level. They're just getting their points. They're just getting their rocks off, right? And that's great for them, because when it's time to re-up, renegotiate, for them to sign that contract, first contract extension, you automatically lock them in. And so now on that second contract, after that first initial 3-year contract, when you took this 19-year-old guy, you're giving this heavy money to a 22, 23-year-old who's not really proven anything, hasn't really proven anything other than on a really bad team, they can score some points. Or on a really bad team, they can get some rebounds. And then they start to kind of figure it out. But by that time, you're already trying to look for the next guy, because this guy hasn't proven to be a superstar, because you're only really giving them 3 years to prove that they're a superstar. But you also got a project. So if you draft somebody that's a project, and then in 3 years you're already looking for the next superstar, and they've already received enough money to change their family's stars forever. So then that guy goes on to whatever next team it is, because you trade him along with some other picks for another high pick to try to take another bite at the apple. That guy ends up 2 to 3 teams later. All of a sudden, they're a 20-something point scorer. They're a double-digit rebounder. They're a double-digit assist guy, and they're a borderline all-star. Yet the team that drafted them is still bad. And this is the issue that happens with the way in which we're drafting. I'm not here to talk awful about players, but I keep hearing everybody talk about Chet Holmgren, like Chet Holmgren is going to be Kevin Durant. Ladies and gentlemen, there is not one time I've ever seen Chet Holmgren play basketball, and I've been watching him since his senior year in high school. So I've been watching him for a couple years now. Senior year in high school, first year on a big stage at Gonzaga. Nothing about his game, nothing about his body, nothing about his mentality told me he's going to be a superstar. Everything about his game told me he kind of fits the model of what they kind of want bigs to be in the NBA today. Except he is not like a year away from being physically ready to handle other bigs or even like small forwards. He's a few years away. That's cool. That's all right. But if we're using the spectrum, right? I'm going to put 2 players on a side. And over here, I'm putting Kevin Durant. And over here, if you're listening, by the way, I'm putting my fingers up. So on one side, I'm putting Kevin Durant. And on the other side, I'm going to put Mike Dunleavy Jr. And I put Chet Holmgren in the middle. and I say, which side is he probably leaning towards most? I can't possibly lean that marker towards Kevin Durant. And quite honestly, if we're being fair, he's not the level of athlete that Mike Dunleavy Jr. was. But I would lean him towards Mike Dunleavy Jr. before I let him towards Kevin Durant. Like, I get it. He's tall and he can shoot. He's tall, he's super skinny, he can shoot. That's where the comparisons stop. This thought process that Chet Holmgren is going to come in and all of a sudden be like the difference on a team early on is crazy. But what are you taking a top 5 pick for? To me, my top 5 picks need to be guys who can come in and ball right now. They should be able to come in. They should be able to ball right now. You know why Philly ended up wasting the picks that they had in the process? Because they were taking guys who were not ball players right now. That's why. They were taking guys who had all of these question marks. People were questioning Ben Simmons' work ethic before he ever got to the NBA, and he did nothing to change that. If anything, it got worse. Right? They questioned Ben Simmons' desire to be great from the moment he stepped foot at LSU. What changed? Nothing. The dude wanted to be a star. He wanted to be famous. He didn't want to be good. He didn't want to be great. He wanted to be a star. He wanted to be famous. He wanted to make a lot of money. Check, check, check. He wanted to be good. He wanted to be great. X, X. And because we keep on making these decisions to take the potential over the product, you get situations where guys who are really good, guys who can really fill it up, guys who can really play defense, guys who have a really great understanding. Who have a great understanding of how to play the game. Those guys end up falling in the draft. And because they fall in the draft, teams that are already good gobble them up. Or teams who are kind of sort of good gobble them up. And then you end up with this weird effect that the draft is supposed to be there to help teams who are bad become okay, then become good. But what you end up with is a system that has bad teams taking players that need so much development that by the time they're good, they're able to either leave and go somewhere else, or one of the good teams comes along and offers a trade package that's so like enticing for the team that has the talent that they go, well, we're not close. We're not close anyway, so let's go ahead and make that. That's what happens in Oklahoma City. Instead of saying, no, we're not going to give you our really good player. We're going to take these other draft picks, choose wisely, and build around these really good players. They say, no, we'll double down because we're waiting on the superstar. And as these teams continue to wait on the superstar, they just get worse and worse. They just get worse and worse. The only way to improve your team at any level, youth league, high school, college, pro, is to fill your team with people who know how to play real basketball, who understands how to play real basketball. Not just who understand how to score, or guys who can dribble, or guys who can shoot, but guys who understand how to play real basketball. Now, they may be a shooter, but they understand how to play real basketball. They may be a rebounder, but they understand how to play real basketball. And because the NBA's model seems to be, let's swing for the fences and let's go for the home run every single time, they end up with a bunch of players that by the time they develop into what they're supposed to be, they're on to the next team. Why couldn't Andrew Wiggins be this Andrew Wiggins in Minnesota? Because Minnesota wasn't patient enough. Because they asked him to be something he probably never could be. Because they drafted him too high. Why? Because they drafted him off potential. And for every Joel Embiid, you have other guys who don't live up and develop into what Joel Embiid has developed into. But there are a ton of guys out there that are Jalen Brunsons. Tons of guys who just fill it up, who just get it done, who know how to play the game, who would be successful on any team. By the way, Lakers, go get Jalen Brunson. Stop trying to get these other people. Go get Jalen Brunson. That's how you win. And that's why we see so many bad choices in the draft. Like this kid Bancheros. Anybody really like watch him play and tell me that he's going to be really good in the NBA? What is he playing in the NBA? What's his position? How is he going to eat in the NBA? How is he going to eat? Who's he guarding? Who's he guarding? How is he going to get buckets? What's his fate? I'm already looking at a guy who's going to be playing with 5 different teams in his NBA career. And that's not a diss, because for him as the individual, stay in the league as long as possible, make all the money you want to make. But as a team drafting, if I have a top 5 pick, I'm asking myself right now, who's he guarding? How does he get a shot? How does he get buckets? How does he work within the system? That's it. And if I can't answer those 3 questions with something that goes, yes, 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 I'm not taking him. I'm not taking him. Who's Chet Holmgren? Who is he guarding? The answer in the NBA right now, nobody. Right? That's the answer. Nobody. How's he getting this shot? Well, we know he's getting the shot. He's going to get trail threes. He's going to get corner threes. He's going to work. Like, he's going to be that big man that steps out and stretches the field, stretches the court. I know he's going to get a shot. Can he work within the flow of an offense? I don't know. There were times this year playing on Gonzaga, I was like, this doesn't feel right. His fit's not right. On a team that should have been tailor-made for him. Just sometimes it just didn't work out. Now, again, he's young, so he has a chance to learn this. But the last question I asked, when he becomes who we believe he can be, will it be too late to have him? Will he be gone? Can this happen in 1 to 2 to 3 years, where when we re-up, he's the face of the team, or he's one of 2 or one of 3 on the team that we're building around? If the answer is no, don't draft him. It used to be so easy. It used to be so easy. Now we're making it harder. We keep bringing all of these foreign players over here. And all of these foreign players are coin flips. A, when are they coming over? B, are they going to turn into something? Never forget, Giannis was not Giannis when he came to the league. Right? Like we can't forget that as a basketball player, Giannis was not Giannis when he first came to the league. 2013, this man averaged 6 points a game. 2014, he averaged 12 points a game. 2015, he averaged 16 points a game. 2016, he averaged 23. I think it was like 23, 8, and 5. And we were off to the races, right? Because if we get 2015 Giannis, then he's just a really good role player. 2016 Giannis is a plus role player, like a really good role player to a big three component. 2017 Giannis is the star of your team. But we're now 5 years into the project, right? So the Bucks had to be thinking the long game. And in that time where they were waiting on Giannis to become Giannis, they were trash. And it could have easily worked out that Giannis could have been somewhere else. Like, people act as if Giannis just came about and was all of a sudden Giannis. He wasn't. So you have to be willing to play that long game, and you can't be willing to just punt on them when someone gives you some attractive trade. And you got to give Giannis credit, because Giannis wasn't looking to get over to another team. He was looking to fight right there. And that's something that you don't get in these players today often. I mean, if we're really thinking about it, Giannis isn't a player of today. Giannis came into the league in 2013. He came into the league in 2013, almost 10 years ago. So he's not even playing. He's not even a part of this new wave of talent. And so to think about how that goes, you have to be ready for the move. You got to be ready for the selfishness. You got to be ready for the player to put themselves and their business over the team. Now, what do you do when that happens? Are you ready for it, or are you looking? Are you scrambling? And that's why you got so many of these teams making horrible decisions, because they don't take any of this stuff into consideration. They're just out here snatching talent. But everybody's talented. So if you're just snatching talent and measurables and everything, and you're not looking at how they are on the court as ball players, you're hustling backwards. It's just that simple. You're hustling backwards. And bad teams stay bad when they try to reach for talent that they don't know where it's going to go when it develops. Before I got out of here, man, I know as a journalist, sometimes we have to be critical. But it really bothers me when I see journalists and media members really go out of their way to disrespect athletes. And this is what I mean. So Russell Westbrook hasn't been the most warm and fuzzy to the media. Well, who could blame him? Half of the time he's being criticized by the media. But media members do a really good job of playing the victim. Oh, such and such athlete talked to us this way. We're just doing our job. All that other BS. No, you know why that athlete spoke to you that way. You know why that athlete has this type of energy for you, because you have treated that athlete poorly. You have been unfair to them in your criticism. You've found yourself being more critical than necessary. You've tried to be an analyst when really you're a reporter. You've given your personal opinion on your platforms about that athlete. And that athlete has eyes, has ears, has friends, and they come and report back to the athlete. And that's why you're getting the energy you're getting from these athletes. So now you go from playing the bullied to being the bully. And every story I hear about a Westbrook trade is shaped as if it would be a ridiculous trade for the other team who the Lakers might be looking to entertain a trade. I actually heard someone on a Dan Le Batard show, a guy who has literally zero credibility other than the fact that he's on the Dan Le Batard show, say out loud that Russell Westbrook's contract was the worst contract in the NBA outside of John Wall's. And I said, well, what else do you want this man to do? NBA games are not won with one player. None of them are. I know all of a sudden Steph Curry is now a top whatever player to people because y'all just got here, but he's not winning games by himself. We saw that show. We saw when Steph Curry was getting 30 and 32 and 34 and 40 points a game, and they were in the 9th seed and the 8th seed and the 10th seed and the 7th seed. We saw that. He needs players. He needs help. We saw what happened when KD's a one-man show. We saw what happened when Giannis is a one-man show. LeBron has been the closest to be able to do it, and he wasn't able to do it because nobody's able to do it. Iverson couldn't do it. Jordan couldn't do it. The list goes on and on of people who cannot do this thing alone. And so I don't understand how Russell Westbrook's exploits and his deficiencies as a player get magnified so high to where all you can do as a media member is talk negatively about him, as if he has not done great things in this league. He has done great things in this league. Is he the best shooter? No. Does he make some stupid passes sometimes, like some poor decisions with the ball in his hands? Yes. Now let's go to all of the other players who make poor decisions with the ball in their hands sometimes, who either can shoot but can't hit a layup to save their life. They might be able to shoot, but that's the only thing they can do. They have a handle, but they don't play any defense. They can hit threes, but they don't play defense. They don't go hard. Russell Westbrook goes as hard as he possibly can every single game he plays. He has never cheated the game. And for that, when all you're supposed to ask of your athletes is to try their hardest, that is met with, oh, it's laughable, or the memes of him missing shots. Let's take the worst parts of this man's season and let's highlight them for everyone to see. Because I could go out and make a video of him making jump shots, of him hitting threes, but that wouldn't be an accurate portrayal of him because he's not just a shooter. The same way it's not fair to just show the videos and highlights of him missing shots because that's not fair either. Oh my gosh, he has his worst year. His worst year was still damn near 20 a game. Almost double-digit rebounds, almost double-digit assists. Sign me up for that level of mediocrity. You guys are clowns when you do that stuff. It's foolish. Report the news. State the facts. You don't have to throw people under the bus. You don't have to sling mud at them. You don't have anything to gain from it. You just look petty. And not even petty, because petty can be good sometimes. You look cruel. And that's not a good look for a journalist. Fair. That's what I've always wanted to be as a journalist. Hey, he's fair. That's all I've ever wanted to be as a journalist. Yeah, you know what? He said such and such about me, but he was fair. That's it. We got to check ourselves in this profession. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. We do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.